Glaubt ihr an Gott oder irgendwas
Nein,
Ähnliches? Nein.
das kann ich jetzt im Alter völlig verneinen. Ich habe mich,
Nein.
je älter ich wurde, immer weiter
Hm.
von Gott und Kirche entfernt.
Hm.
Ich habe drüber nachgedacht, das
Okay.
sind alles schöne Geschichten, die sich Menschen ausgedacht haben, aus ihrer
Hm.
Situation heraus. Ne?
Hm.
Also ich habe im Laufe meines Lebens festgestellt, dass die Menschen nicht von Natur aus gut sind.
Hm.
Das sind sie nicht.
Hm.
Die sind habgierig, nicht?
Hm.
Und wollen haben, was sie bisher nicht haben, was ein
Hm.
Nachbar hat. Solange
Ja.
der Nachbar auch arm ist, geht es. Aber wenn der
Ja.
ein bisschen reicher ist, wir
Ja.
haben das ja auch durch die Kriege dann erlebt, dann will ich das auch haben. Nicht?
Hm.
Und das ist so fatal. Und das führt ja auch letzten Endes zu den Kriegen.
Hm.
Und wir haben zweimal den Weltkrieg gehabt. Ich meine, beim ersten haben wir noch nicht gelebt, aber
Hm.
das wussten unsere Großeltern
Hm.
aus eigener Erfahrung und haben uns davon erzählt.
Hm.
Aber den Zweiten Weltkrieg, den haben wir von Stund an miterlebt. Ich
Ja.
war noch
Ja.
klein. Ich erinnere mich, wir haben da in einem Mietshaus gewohnt und
Hm.
als wir dann mal abends nach Hause kamen, da war auf den Treppen so blaue Beleuchtung. Da habe ich
Hm.
gesagt, was ist das? Und da haben meine Eltern gesagt, das ist Krieg. Und da habe ich
Hm.
lange Zeit gedacht, Krieg ist blaues Licht auf der Treppe.
When you were just 1 year old, so me and Papa and Brady and you, we were on the beach in Brazil, lying around on our towels, and you playing in the sand. But then you would always, and you were not wearing anything, obviously. You couldn't even walk yet, but you would crawl towards the ocean, and you would just like crawl towards the ocean, and we would keep an eye on you. And then when you got too close, we would come and fetch you and bring you back to where we were sitting. And then you would grin at us and turn around and crawl back towards the ocean. Just like a little turtle, turtles are born on the beach, and the first thing they do is they dig themselves out. They toddle towards the ocean. You were just like that. You would just keep every time we'd fetch you again when you were almost at the edge, and you wouldn't like get upset or anything. You would just like turn around and try again. Yes, so Sylvie Island, yeah, it's an important place for me. It's always been my favorite place to go. It just goes on and on. I mean, the
Yeah,
beach
true.
isn't, but then there's the forest, and at the very end there's the lighthouse. So yeah, that place. I mean, even before you were born, I would go there. Sometimes even by myself. Just it's such a nice place. It always puts me in balance to be there. It's like my happy place.
Mm.
A really lovely beach.
Yeah.
And you were talking about the big boats that go by. Those are so impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're so big. They make those big waves.
Yeah. They're like skyscrapers. They make you feel really small.
Yeah.
In the same way that the ocean makes you feel really small too.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you think how big those are, and when they are crossing the ocean, they're just tiny little specks on the ocean. Of course, the Oregon coast is a bit of a different story because it's not like your vacation ocean where you
No.
can swim nice and just super cold and sometimes very rocky. And
I like that when you walk on the beach, you get like your face would start stinging from all the cold ocean air. It's a bit scarier.
No, it's not friendly. No. How many kilometers is it
12,568, I think, approximately.
Oh my
According to
God.
Google.
We are, say again, 12,168 kilometers apart from each other.
They gotta go walk to the ocean.
Yep, that's what I'm doing. I'm walking with you to the ocean. I'm walking basically towards you. Crazy
Oh, yeah.
Australian bird.
Both have devil in them. Seagulls are like bad people.
Seagulls are not people. It's their ocean more than yours. Okay, can you describe to me what kind of ocean you're looking at over there?
Okay, so the ocean over here, it's super blue. This beach is really wide. There's all the seagulls.
Uh-huh.
There's like kelp in the water. It's a really long beach. There's kind of like a town thing nearby. There's some clouds. There's waves, which you can probably hear.
Oh, I hear my own waves, so I don't know if I'm hearing my waves or your waves.
But I think they're all kind of the same wave. I think
Yeah, that's the point, right?
that's the point, yeah. What does your beach look like?
So Hug Point is also quite long at the moment because it's low tide. I think usually it's just a little cold. Papa's filming the cliffs to the right there. I think that's as far as you can usually go. But because the tide is low, you could go for miles and miles each way. And there's a few rocks in the ocean. There's one that has one bird sitting on it at the moment. Far out to the right, there's an old abandoned lighthouse on a rock. It's called Terrible Tilly. Terrible Tilly, yes. I'm making a line in the sand with a stick. Whoops, and all of a sudden I'm in the water. Dang.
I'm standing in the water and I keep getting like hit by waves.
I haven't even tried sticking my hand in the water because I know what it's like.
Oh! Yeah, I'm getting like murdered by this shit. Because I thought it would be artsy to walk in my clothes.
Uh-huh. Is it still pretty early for you? Are there not many people, or is it pretty? What's the beach called?
Halaroy. But it's a bit farther north. There's a few people swimming. There's one person on a boogie board. I think it's a kid actually. Are there any clouds?
No, not much. Like some feathery clouds and a little, but nothing much. One plain trail up in the sky. That's it. Oh my God, it's beautiful though, huh?
Yeah.
Waves,
It's super glittery right now. It's like
here too. The sun is really pretty low already. Ooh, there's a waterfall. Can we go there?
Yeah.
Although honestly, I still find it hard to really imagine you being over there.
Yeah, I know. Fair enough.
Yeah, just like I can't imagine what it's like to be sweating right now. Or
yeah, true. I can't imagine what it's like to be cold.
Okay, my sweet.
Okay.
Take
Love
good
you.
care. I love you too.
You too. We'll talk again soon.
Yeah, we will
the
before you leave for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, thank you for doing this.
Oh yeah, no, thanks for making it happen.
Aw. All right.
Tschüss, meine Süße.
I love you. Tschüssi.
Love you. Mwah.
Mwah. Mwah.
Mwah.
My dad was
He was a priest.
He wasn't quite, no.
He won.
When he left high school, he went to study to be a Lutheran priest.
Yeah.
He went to Concordia College. And then he lost his faith, really. And decided that God wasn't real. And that he would study something else instead. But he did graduate.
Okay.
Well, I mean, like,
Yeah.
let's talk for a minute about your mother's belief, or my mother's belief, your grandma's beliefs, because she was very New Agey. And what does that mean? Well, she was really interested in alternative ideas about what the world is. When I was little, she found out about, there was a sort of fad, I don't really rationally believe in it, pyramid power. Which came along with this belief that the pyramids were built by aliens from space. And therefore, you could use their amazing pyramid invention to sharpen razor blades.
Yeah. Wait, what?
You would build a pyramid and you would put things under it and magic things would happen to them. Your razor blades would get sharp, or your fruit would last longer before spoiling.
Okay.
I think it's pretty thoroughly debunked. I'm sorry. I want to believe, and yet... But I mean,
power.
like, she was
Okay, I should
interested.
look
She
into
wasn't
that.
like, oh, that's kind of interesting. Let's try
Give
it.
it a
She built some
chance.
pyramids. My dad was building geodesic domes, so it was really not fair that she couldn't build a pyramid. Later on, when we moved to California, she got really interested in a bunch of different, New Age ideas and theories. She read these writers who claimed to be possessed by the spirits of aliens from space. Rendezvous with Ramtha or whatever. I always felt it was a bit silly. She also got really interested in kind of like sort of personal development schemes that were popular in California that are, some of which are just this side of Scientology. And she did Est for a while, which is kind of cultish.
Language is really useful for concepts, but the true experiences in life are really communicated most often by artists.
But on the other hand, she met people and had experiences that she really valued, and she didn't seem like damaged by any of it. So I think it's cool. She was an explorer. She wasn't looking at this stuff as it's true or it's not. She's like, it's interesting, and I wonder what's there.
Yeah.
And she dug through all of this stuff that way in a really creative and curious way. She was really into Robert Anton Wilson, who I was bringing up earlier.
Yeah.
And what he was saying and what Anton LaVey was saying, like what all of these weird people who scare the religious have been saying for a long time, was that religion is it's a state of human consciousness. I have dreams all the time with mom or dad in them. It's always good to see them. Yeah, when my grandma died, which is your grandma's mother, she was living in Duluth by herself.
Who is my great grandma? I don't know anything about her.
That was Elvira Coughlin. She was born Elvira Lamore.
That's really
I only brought it up in the first place because the day she died, I remember being in bed at home in Minneapolis and waking up and feeling like I saw Grandma in the hallway looking in the bedroom at me. Whoa. Like, Grandma? So then I think it was just kind of a dream.
Whoa.
And then I woke up again because my mom came up and said, I have to tell you guys something.
Whoa, maybe she did come visit you.
Oh, sure she did. So things like that, it's hard to be an atheist when things like that happen.
That's true.
But what's really going on, I'm satisfied I have no idea. And it means that, like, when you die, you get to find something out. People who say they know what's going to happen, it's anticlimactic for them.
Yeah, true. That is one way to put it.
Yeah, so they sent me to Catholic school. I had no idea that we were Catholic, but apparently my mother went to Catholic school.
Yeah.
Believed in the Catholic pedagogy, separate from whether or not religious, just that they were good teachers. So I didn't think of it. We never went to church. We didn't have Jesus on the wall at home. But here I am in Catholic school, trying to figure out what it means to be Catholic, surrounded by people who do it at home.
Yeah.
So early on in Catholic school, they started to tell me that like I was a sinner.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm fucking 5 years old. I do 5-year-old stuff. I cry. I shit my pants.
Yeah.
I want things. I throw tantrums when I don't get them.
Yeah.
I'm a human being. Why are we like that? I don't know. But no, I'm a sinner. I'm a sinner, and if I don't accept Jesus Christ into my life, then I'm gonna burn in this place, hell.
Yeah.
That isn't, to my knowledge, not in the Bible. Hell.
Yeah.
but a lot of people really love to believe in it anyway.
Yeah.
It's weird how much people love to believe in hell,
Yeah.
even more than they love to believe in heaven. They're telling all of these children that there's something terribly wrong with them, that they're bad people. And that's like a really fucking heavy trip to put on a little kid, and I rejected it at some point. I brought a lunch from home, and the bread was moldy. I'm looking at this kind of gross moldy bread sandwich, and I'm not eating it. And he's like, why aren't you eating my lunch? And I'm like, I don't want to. And they're basically like, oh, there's people starving in Japan. It's a sin to not eat your food. It's like, I'm going to burn in hell. God wants me to burn in hell
you to eat a
because I
moldy
didn't eat a moldy sandwich. And that was pretty much where I lost my faith. It wasn't even that I didn't believe in God. It's that I started to think he was an asshole. So like this idea of like laying this really heavy trip on people in their youth and just saying, because of who you are, you were just born with this guilt. Now, here we are in Berlin, Germany. We all know the tragic history of World War II, the rise of fascism and the Nazis, and the insanity that was allowed to happen, and the deaths of 6 million innocent Jews. Germans, I mean, the Allies did a thing after the war. When they came in and they found the camps and they found the people hanging out, the citizens, like they're just regular German citizens. They kind of made every German citizen take a little tour through their local death camp. They showed them the ovens. They showed them the mountains of human
Did
death.
they really?
Yeah. All sorts of people were just, they said, you are going to see what you did. You're not going to be able to deny that this happened. You're forced to see it. And I don't disagree with that. But then it became part of German pedagogy. It's a similar thing. You're a sinner because your parents were Nazis. Your family, you're from the Nazi country. Your people are responsible for this. And you inherit their guilt in this. And so this motivated a whole generation of German people to really try hard to be good. To do a lot to try and restitute, to make things different. It leads to the Berlin that we have today, where everyone is deeply concerned of refugees, about the people being murdered in Gaza.
Well, it's just weird because that same logic of thinking is like, okay, then Israel is like the solution for our sins. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it makes people Zionists. So
it does a lot of things to people. But
I'm born of the generation after the generation that did the war. My generation, I had again and again this experience with German friends in America and with German people here. My age approximately. You know, first you're Zitzen, and then maybe later if they're cool, you're Dutzen, and you're hanging out, and then maybe later you're hanging out, and at some point your German friend will say something like, I feel just awful about World War II. They don't feel bad about the Holocaust, but they feel a need to apologize for it, which they've been taught. But then maybe you have a beer, or 2 beers, and then later maybe your German friend will lean over you in a conspiratorial voice. They'll say something like, embarrassed but secretly confessing to you, I wasn't even alive during the Holocaust. And what they're expressing is that, like, oh my God, this heavy weight was thrown over my shoulders at birth. Because of a horrible, horrible thing that my society did. But I've always felt like the United States my entire life has been inches away from doing something worse. Let's look at what we did to the Native Americans. But I mean, I just want to make the point that you travel the world and you look at the history of every country and you're just like, oh my God, human beings are terrible and history is full of tragedy. There have been so many horrible things done to so many innocent people. And I don't mean to minimize any of it. But at the same time, I mean, it's incredibly important that we know history. It's incredibly important that we remember history, and it's incredibly important that we not repeat that history. And at the same time, I've always felt that there's something wrong with telling a little child that you're a bad person because of something somebody else did. Politics really seems to empower the kind of person who wants to divide the world into good people and bad people. I don't know exactly. I mean, there needs to be something better, right? There needs to be a way that we can say, we can all learn history. We can all understand the crimes of our forefathers. Everybody eventually... I mean, it's interesting how even outside of Christianity, human beings have a kind of a need, a lot of them do, to forgive. A lot of people will never really get over the thing that's pissing them off unless they can figure out how to forgive the person who pissed them off.
Yeah.
Partly it's because sometimes the person who pissed them off is dead and therefore not going to apologize.
Or it's not just one person who pissed them off. It's like a
Forgiveness, I mean, a lot of people would say it's actually really empowering.
Yeah, well, because once you get to that point, you can move on and be like, okay, what are we going to do about it? Or what is the most important thing that you learned in your life that your parents didn't teach you?
Yeah. And I did think about that, and what I came up with what is the difference between my parents and me, is that they didn't teach me anything about taking risks, which I feel like you have to in life to get anywhere or to have any fun at all. And they are people who take it or live life very safely, which comes from their biography, of course, having grown up after the war and during the war. And so for them, safety and security was very important. And that's kind of all they ever wanted from me. So the endeavors and pursuits that they were wishing for me were always very safe. So I did in the beginning, but then I broke free and went to America by myself to live there, went to England by myself to live there, and I think all of those times I've taken those risks have done me well in life. I am kind of decidedly non-spiritual to a point that maybe is a bit sad. I feel like I'm very scientific minded, but I mean, that doesn't mean I don't believe in values like goodness and love and those kinds of things. I have never really believed in a higher being or God. Or maybe when I was young, I thought maybe there's someone out there. But now and for many years, I really haven't believed in a God. Does the universe care about me? I mean, that's at the crux of it. None of this cares about me. Nature is wonderful. It doesn't care about me. The universe is wondrous and great, but it doesn't care about me.
So there's this thing that happens when you look at the ocean where you get terrified because it's so big and it's so powerful all at once, and you can't do anything against it. Like that fear, that feeling of just surrendering to the fear of how fucking massive the ocean is. That's sort of like God, I guess, but in like a more powerful way than like a loving universe. It's like it's a universe that could kill you. It's like I feel like I think a lot about, okay, is God kind, or do I believe in an indifferent God? And it's sort of like maybe there is peaceful indifference. Like the water is a pretty good example of that. It doesn't do anything. It just sort of goes in the way that it wants to go, just sort of existing, but firmly, like existing fully. I guess that's what I'm trying to get at. But what's crazy is that somewhere on the other side of all that shit is my mom. I'm looking at the line, like the only line that exists in nature that's straight, like perfectly straight. And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking I'd eventually end up in North America on the Oregon coast, maybe by like Newport or Seaside, Mexico. You go down, there's Chile. Like it's all out there in front of me, but it's all been reduced into a line. It's like this thing that's massive and three-dimensional, and it's all just one line now. But I'm imagining a little lighthouse somewhere out there, and there's a light. And if I just keep going, then eventually I meet my mom. And I'd say hi, and I'd give her a hug. And yeah, I'd say I love you very much. Yeah, when you're looking at all of the shells on the beach and There's lots of them, and they're all really pretty, and you're kind of like sorting through them. Which ones are the most glittery, which, like the chipped ones you leave behind, blah, blah, blah. And eventually you find one and you're like, ooh, this is kind of nice, this is beautiful. And you pick it up and you carry it around for a bit, and then you sort of make it mean something to you. That's kind of like looking for something in life, Like, there's all of these millions of pretty little options, and it's so infinitely complicated that it goes into sand, and like every single grain of sand was a shell or a beautiful rock or something like that, and then it's just infinite, and it slowly turns into infinity the farther and farther you go into the water. When you look at the ocean, it's like totality. It's like everything at once. It's all of these tiny little grains of sand. Like on this beach, I've got rocks, basically rocks and shells and stuff, and then it turns into kind of like mud, and then it turns into water, and then the water turns into the ocean, and it just keeps going forever, and it's huge, really scary and big and everything at once. And that's why when you're on the beach, sometimes you end up looking at the ground. Then when you look at the ocean, you just sort of get freaked out, or like it's like an epiphany, like that's God. And then the shells are kind of like, a person or a house you lived in, or a pair of earrings, or a burrito, or like a beer or something. It's like all of these, you seek it out and you're like, oh, this is pretty. Oh, you're gorgeous. I want you in my life. Come with me in my pocket. Or I'll try and walk with you for a bit. Then the ocean is just like everything at once. It's all the little shells. And actually, it's all the little crabs and all the things that live in it as well at the same time. It's like everything. I started this project to try and understand why the ocean is so beautiful to me, and why its scariness is comforting. This led to trying to understand the history of cosmology in my family, and this led to understanding the trauma of my grandparents and great-grandparents. I learned that fear creates a need for security in a material sense, which I see in Germany. The constant fear and selfishness surrounding money, an obsession with creating rules and laws so as to be able to predict and control the future. In my 6 years here, I constantly wondered why people aren't more happy. Why is complaining the common language of small talk when we live in abundance, running water, healthcare, very high standard of living?
And it is this carrot on a stick, and the carrot is this idealized and impossible to maintain comfort of predictability. And so I moved to Germany. I realized Europe is obsessed with this. I think in the US, people are obsessed with money, but in Europe, so many structures. And I think the biggest one is the structure of time. This completely arbitrary 24-hour time that Europe decided to throw over the whole globe in order to efficiently line up productivity. There's so many structures that aim for the preservation of predictability. And for a culture especially Germany has experienced centuries of war, not just World War I, World War II, but before that, basically just kings fighting over this theoretical concept of control, or theoretical concept of peace and order in whatever way that they want it to be. I don't know. It makes sense in Europe because chaos has traumatized people. But I see these structures as kind of a manifestation of fear and of generational trauma that's kind of ultimately doomed. I think it's just the fundamental nature of the universe to be so complicated and chaotic that there will never be a way to fully understand it. I mean, we've seen in Europe and basically every place that there's conflict that these systems of control fail. They become more and more violent in their attempts to rewrite chaos and control people. In response, people
cyclones, wildfires, floods, Birkenkäfer, they become more and more unpredictable. Like nature becomes more and more unpredictable and intensely alive. And I guess I just want people to understand that the fear of losing control or a system of control is kind of an illusion in itself. And accepting the fear of chaos recalibrates our field of influence. Like it makes us realize what is actually important.
Take the blame for it at one point, not so much, because also they had like huge Nazis and like on a higher political level and on low political levels and judges and doctors still practicing even though there were Nazis. On some level they tried to take the blame for it after they've been working their asses off to forget what they've done. And then in the East it's been different, I guess, because the GDR, they were communists, they were like a folk group in the Nazi regime, and they were in the concentration camps and all this shit. And they were saying, yeah, we're building like this anti-fascist wall against the evil West who did all these things. But the people in the country, they weren't Nazis, right? Exactly like in the West, the Bevölkerung. So, and I think that's also a problem why we have like this huge, not only the poverty in the East, but also how the East dealt with their history, because they haven't dealt with it. They were saying, it was the West, right?
Right. Yeah, because if you just say the problem is the other people.
Exactly, but it were the people there living there. Not the government though, but the people living there, actually, the population. Parents' generation, for example, they had to, like, this generation, so they all moved out when they were 18 from their parents' house and went studying, and most of them had like huge fights with their parents, and they needed this break to also like probably make a clear line between the Nazi past of their parent and grandparents' generation, and now we are the third, fourth generation, but this is how also families are deconstructed in a way. And then capitalism needs deconstructed families. For example, my father's family, right? Yeah. He has like 3 siblings, and all of them have like 4 or 5 kids. And his father has 4 siblings. If we get together like as a family, these are like 300 people, right? Because it's a huge family. And imagine all this family would like help each other out all the time. And give jobs to someone who's not working much, who's not able to work so much. It would completely destroy the idea of capitalism. Because if you hire your cousin, you don't care if your cousin is the best worker or not. He's your cousin, so you hire that person, right? That's it. So I think capitalism needs this like deconstruction of families. And it works pretty well in Germany. Because family has been deconstructed for good reasons. Also, they need to be deconstructed, right?
You know, and it's like if you separate yourself from your ancestors or whatever, you say like, oh, I don't even want to talk to them, I don't want to like recognize their existence, sort of, then you separate yourself like from, I don't know, your whole history, like your whole culture, your whole like existence, right? And I think like that's really, really unhealthy, you know? I think it makes a lot of people really sad and kind of like, it makes people like really individualist, you know?
I mean,
like, I think people need to like really talk to their grandparents and like, I don't know, and talk to their parents and stuff like that. Like I think like just doing stuff that's difficult and painful, I don't know, there's like sort of a philosophy that thinks that like if you in your lifetime can break the curses of like your past generations, then the next generations that come can like be happy. You know what I mean? But it's like you need to address shit that was not addressed before, you know, like what the great grandparents didn't talk about in the 50s or whatever. If you don't do that, it sticks around, but it's also like,
but I think that's what the 1968 movement tried to do also. I mean, they tried to clear that part of the history. Like, they went to the universities to get rid of the professors who's been there since Nazi times. They tried to break these hierarchies. And they did a good job. And then there's our parents' generation, which are a little bit younger than the 68 movement, who also, like, had their breaks with their families. but it's all pretty fresh also. It hasn't been a long time. Like, if we think about it, like, okay, our grandparents grew up. I mean, that's also why this generation is fucked, right? They grew up in Nazi Germany. Like, they went to Hayat and whatever. With medals and this kind of shit. This is like their childhood, and their parents were the Nazis, and then they just worked in the 50s and made money and had a good life in the 70s, basically. I mean, some of them tried to face it, and I don't know, but so people start to recognize how bad the church actually was and what they had done. I think especially throughout this like harassment cases and rape cases, because like the church was like untouchable for so long, and now all this stuff is coming up, but people don't know what to do with their need of religion, because I think it's super hard to actually not be religious for a human being. And there is like this huge empty space where there's been like the religion or the church before, like when people were like feeling sad or bad about their loss, they would go to the priest and talk about it, right? Like, or the priest would go to their houses and like the Pfarrer of the Dorf would come and like, I don't know, talk to the people. And now this is all gone because there's no trust anymore. And fair enough, there shouldn't be trust anymore. But it is an empty space you can see in society. That's also why people become like esoteric or make up their own religions, right? You see this a lot happening. Like, most of the people were like completely believing in this kind of stuff and making up their own ideas of what an afterlife looks like or something like this. Because they cut off the idea of what your parents grew up with like, let's say, Christianity, where there is theories about, and where you could read philosophy about it, and you could read the Bible, and like there's a lot of knowledge about theological stuff, let's say, but since everyone is disappointed, people are disappointed in this, they're trying to fill that empty space, I guess. I don't know.
Be like, okay, the ocean is kind of like the empty space, you know? You have a lot of fear, and you have a lot of like, when you have like generation and narrative, like trauma or fear or whatever, you don't really know what experiences or what specific things cause that. Right? Like a lot of the times you can be like sad, but you don't even know why. And I think like people need to be able to like access all of that like emotional scarring, basically. Yeah. Without, you know, because you're never gonna have the knowledge of like exactly what happened on like this day that made your grandpa. You can know that there's things that you don't know that happened, that you don't know that are scary, and that maybe your fear and your pain comes from, I mean, insecurity comes from like you can't tell what's gonna happen, and so you feel insecure because you think that like something bad is gonna happen.
But then you mean that like you need to basically connect to some roots or whatever, like some ideas of like, let's say, family, home, whatever, this kind of ideas.
Let go of the need to like know the future, and like let go of your need for security.
But I think that's like very personal. I think one person needs that, the other person needs that. I don't think you can like generalize this, I guess. But I mean, also the whole idea of Germany is just not working. This is a country in the middle of Europe, right? There's no like, there's also not so many traditions or anything. I mean,
or maybe there were, but they're gone now.
I'm not so sure because the Romans were here while everything was forced, basically. And then you had this weird tribes, like super brutal. I don't know, with not so much like shit going on, and the Romans took over, and these tribes were like fighting back and whatsoever. And then already medieval times came, and there was huge like also like different people going around the world and going around like this part of Europe. And this whole idea of Germany was not. Then Napoleon was here, and I think that's where actually the problem started, because there was this idea, okay, we need liberation from the nobility. And that's also, where these paintings are from, where they started with the German flag and with this German anthem was written, and this idea, okay, we want to get liberated from whatever the nobility and all this kind of stuff. So, but then they shook hands with they started the idea of like nationalism as well. And I think this is an interesting point you can see all over the world, that people start to liberate, and then they also start to become nationalists. They become patriotic in a sense. They want their own nation because they think this is going to liberate them from whoever they suffer from. And in some places, it definitely makes sense, and I get it where it comes from. But in Germany, I think it was this beginning of the ending, basically. A lot of different countries, basically, here, or whatever countries, Fürstentum, whatever. Then the Prussians made it to end of 19th century to this country. And I think since that time, people trying to find their identity, their fucking German identity, which is not existing. And I get mad about that. And so they're like this super weird fucking fascists and super dangerous because they can't find it because it does not exist. You won't find your roots, and you can't tell what your fucking family bloodline is. Like 5 or 6 years ago, I was working on this like book fair in Leipzig, and there was this one guy was saying, I'm a like Blutsdeutsche. I was like, what the fuck does that mean? You know that Germany isn't existing that long. It's like, no, my family is living in Brandenburg since 600 years. And I was like, this is fucking bullshit.
Where they used to live is like Poland now. Like, it's not.
It's
you know what I mean?
It's like it doesn't. It doesn't make sense. Like, if I look at my family, okay, my grandfather from Switzerland, my grandfather from Denmark, the other grandmother from the Netherlands. Like, it's like, okay, it's just not existing, guys. Hey, guys, it's in the middle of Europe. There is no German race or German bloodline or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what I mean.
And then not even traditions. Actually, okay, in Bavaria, maybe a little bit, but also that's not completely true. I mean, they also invented this fucking shit, like, end of the 19th century. It's not that it's a 600-year-old tradition that's going on. But I think that's also why they're so fucking, like, horrible, because they crave for an identity they don't have. I think they're jealous of other people who have their identity. I think it makes sense. Like, people definitely need to be educated about, also to understand that it's just fake news. Like Germany and German guys. Come on.
Tagesschau, fake news. What are the driving forces behind people not coming to that recognition? A nation wants people to believe that there's... Look at America, bro. It's the same shit. There's absolutely no reason for the U.S. to exist. You know what I mean? I mean, it exists now, but it's like, it doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? It's artificial, and that's why nationalism is so... Like, the U.S. will be more accepting of, like, whatever, Ausländer, because it is all Ausländer. And maybe that's the difference with Germany, though, is that, like, the national project was started with doing something for the people who are from this land, you know, like, whatever, the Bio-Deutsch, like, you know? And then it doesn't work because it's, like, the history isn't there, like, the...
Besides the people speaking the same language, and maybe have some things in common, I don't know.
I mean, in the U.S., like, they knew from the beginning that this was, like, we're starting a new thing.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? In Germany, they're just trying to convince you that it's an old thing. But it's a new thing.
But it's actually, exactly. The funny thing is, people believed in a nation because they wanted to get liberated. And since that part, shit went down. Like, they had first, like, those both fucking Kaiser Wilhelms, and then they had, like, short period of Weimar Republic, and then they had Nazi Germany. So, like, this
like,
whole, like,
maybe the problem is, like, a nation
maybe,
state.
just think about it.
Just putting ideas in the room. But then it's also like, what makes people agree to a nation state? And they agree to it because they're afraid, right? I mean, I guess, like, also because they want liberation.
But nowadays, like, I mean, and to be like, honestly, the fear is probably real, but at the same time, I don't really think that like Belgium is gonna invade. You know what I mean? Like, you have the European Union that's like helping maybe a little bit, but like, I also don't think Russia is gonna invade. Like,
I mean, in the European Union, it's basically a great idea. If you look at what happened in Europe in the past 2,000 years, you'd be like, yeah, better build a union, because otherwise you're gonna like kill each other for the rest of history, like for the next millions of years, because that's what happened the past 2,000 years. They've just been like killing each other for fucking stupid reasons. Yeah. So, okay, it made sense to say after Second World War, okay, let's build a union, because otherwise it can't go on this way. How I see it is also that the big political parties in a democracy, they're not only there to be voted and then make politics as the voters want them to do it, but also because, okay, you guys are educated in politics. Yeah. So I give you my vote so you can decide for me, because I don't know. A normal person who has to go to work does their own shit. You don't know about political structures so much. So you give the responsibility to a person who knows. Not that everyone decides for themselves what they want, but give the responsibility to a person who actually has knowledge about it and then decides. It makes sense, right? Yeah. That the SPD, for example, it's also their Aufgabe, their task, to also like show the people, hey, social democracy works that way. Part of social democracy is that immigrants, for example, can of course come if they flee from a country where they would probably die. So yes, this is part of a social democracy, and this is what we're gonna do. And don't start with like, yeah, no, these people can come, these people can't come, and don't be so twisted in this. You have to have an idea, because those like their families who voted like for 60 years for the same party, right? It's part of their like
their identity.
Their identity, yes. They're like, okay, we're social democrats. We're workers. We work in huge companies, so we vote for the social democrats. Yeah. And then it's the task of the social democrats to actually make politics which are not against humanity. Because if you open that door, that's also what happened, what we see with like fucking Sarah Wagenknecht. Yeah. She was like, she's basically telling the people, hey, you can be left and you still can be against foreigners. Yeah. Right? So she opened that door, and since that, people are like, okay, I'm left, but I'm not against foreigners. Never open that door. Why do you have to open that door?
They open the door because they want their own power, you know? Because they see that like this like fear politics are working for the AfD, and they're like, oh, I want those voters. I want to stay in power.
Exactly. But this is like someone like Sarah Wagenknecht. She's a populist, right? But SPD is not. Yeah. And CDU neither. And CDU, like, I fucking hate CDU. And CDU is just showing what they're actually been the whole time. Yeah. But also, they shouldn't be that way, because they're fucking Christianity in their fucking name.
What about Jesus?
What about Jesus? You don't open. People will vote for you. They will still vote for you. If you don't have to be against humanity. Yeah. And that's like the big problem with the big parties, that they thought, okay, we're gonna like fight after or whatever if we also open that door. But you don't have to do it, and you cannot do it, because it's also your task to educate your voters in the right direction. But you know what I mean? I think also in the US, for example, okay, you have some people who would switch between Republicans and Democrats, yes, of course. Yeah. But you also have the people who always would vote for Democrats or always would vote for Republicans. Yeah. And then I think it's actually, und dann müssten halt die Demokraten zum Beispiel so sein, so nee, das und das geht nicht, die und die Kriege führen wir nicht, das machen wir nicht. Und die Leute würden sie trotzdem wählen und würden dann auch so denken und wären so, weißt du, sie haben ja auch eine Position, wo sie das politische Bewusstsein der Bevölkerung mitbestimmen.
Ja, ich glaube, gerade ist es halt so, dass die Parteien, also zumindest in den USA, was die wirklich verteidigen, ist ihr ganzes System. Also was brauchen die, um in Macht zu bleiben, um diese Demokratie zu überhaupt haben, weißt du? Ja, keine Ahnung, also es muss nicht so sein.
Genau, und es muss auch gar nicht unbedingt, das, was ich sagen will, ist, glaube ich, der Punkt, den ich eigentlich meine, ist, es muss nicht gezwungenermaßen aus der Bevölkerung kommen. sondern es kann auch auf einer politischen Ebene passieren.
Ja.
Weißt du, weil eine Bevölkerung unter Umständen nicht immer die richtigen Entscheidungen trifft.
Ja.